You guys, I remember being in school when I was your age, and I remember sitting there thinking to myself, man, school is so boring. It's no fun. Wait till I get into college because that's where the real fun is going to begin. And when I got into college, I had a real rude awakening that happened to me because I remember my professors, because you took, X number of classes throughout the year. You had to make sure you had at least 12 credit hours, as they called it. And I remember each professor would give us a stack of reading material that we would have to have read by the next class. Now, most of you are probably thinking, not a big deal. But when I'm getting these packets and I'm getting these books and I'm being asked to read 5, 6, 7 chapters, and everything I'm reading is a nonfiction expository text, it was overwhelming. I mean, I was a really good reader when I was in high school. I read fiction texts. I can tell you who the characters were. I can tell you about the problems and the solutions and the settings. I can infer. I can show empathy. I could do all those things. But now it was all nonfiction. I'm thinking, my God, how am I going to remember all of these facts and all these little details throughout the book? And I remember one day in class being there and being overwhelmed and feeling like I'm drowning. And I looked at the girl next to me and I saw something that changed my life and changed the way I looked at nonfiction for a long time, even to this day. And here is the thing that changed me forever. It was this thing called a mind map. Because what I noticed that this girl was doing next to me was she was taking some notes about what she read, but she was only including a few things, not a ton of things. Maybe a few bullet points. Maybe she was writing in a key phrase or a key word. And that's what was amazing to me. She would actually put in the middle of her mind map what the title of the book was. And then branching out from there, let's say she was reading a book on the human body. So the middle would be the human body. And then one of the branching points might have been the digestive system. And then she would list like 3 things about the digestive system. And then maybe she had another branch that went up and it talked about the respiratory system. And she would list about 3 or 4 things about the respiratory system. And I was asking her about the notes that she was taking, and she was like, well, yeah, I take these simple notes because how else are you going to remember everything that's in nonfiction? And that's when the light bulb went off for me, is that really good readers of nonfiction, they don't just read it and try to memorize everything that's in it because that's impossible to do. You got to take some notes. You got to write down some of the key details that are going to jog your memory so you're going to remember some things. And that's why I love mind mapping. I love mind mapping because my mind doesn't work with things in order. It's kind of chaotic. It goes off into different branches. Mind mapping does that. But this helped me a lot when it came time for reading nonfiction. And you have an app on your iPad that allows you to create mind maps. Now here's the thing. If mind maps don't work for you and you enjoy doing traditional type of notes, writing down some key details about the story that you're reading, then go ahead and do that. But what you need to do is you need to do some kind of note strategy so you can become a better reader of nonfiction, so you can remember all those great details that are in nonfiction books, because memorizing it is not going to happen. So that brings me to today's teaching point, and that is when we come to a chunk of text, or when our mind is full with details, when we've been reading nonfiction, you have to stop or pause and ask yourself, what did I just read? Then you're going to come up with a few bullet points or even a small summary of what we just read. And that's what you're going to write down either on post-it notes or when you're creating your mind map. This is going to allow you to retain that information that you're reading in nonfiction text, because the retaining of the information of all these details is so important, because memorization is just not possible. So let's go ahead and take a look at a nonfiction text, and then let me show you what it is I mean by taking good notes or coming up with a good mind map. What do snorkelers and scuba divers have in common with mosquitoes and whirling beetles? They all have special equipment that helps them breathe underwater. There's one big difference though. Insects' equipment is built in. Snorkelers. How long could you hold your breath underwater?
Probably not long enough to get a good look around there. That's why many people swim with snorkels. Some insects do too. A mosquito has a built-in type of snorkel called a siphon at the tip of its abdomen. The larva hangs upside down from the water's surface with the siphon sticking into the air, allowing the mosquito to take in oxygen. If the mosquito larva wants to dive, it can stay down for as long as 10 minutes before running out of air. Rat-tailed maggots have a very special siphon that can extend up to 6 centimeters or 2.5 inches, kind of like a telescope. This lets the maggots breathe while hiding in the mud below. I guess you'll never look at a mosquito the same way. So let's go ahead and let's take some of this information, let's pull it out, and let's show you how I would go about creating notes or even a mind map. Either way is acceptable. It's up to you as to which is more comfortable for you. So the first option I'm going to go over with you is writing a simple little summary. The first thing you want to do when you're writing a summary is you want to write what the main idea is, or what's the main topic of this entire paragraph or section that I wrote about. And the main idea for this passage was that it was all about aquatic insects, remember? And the type of equipment that they have built in that helps them breathe. So that would be my main topic. Now that I have my main topic, I'm going to add in my first bullet point or my supporting detail. When we talk about bullet points, we're talking about supporting details, and what you're going to write is going to back up your main topic. So let's see. What was a supporting detail that was in the story? So here's the first bullet or supporting detail I came up with, and that was that mosquito larvae have a snorkel that comes out of their stomachs. Remember they talked about their abdomen? Okay, I'm putting in some of my own words that I'm going to remember. They swim on their backs with the snorkel sticking out into the air. I mean, I kind of have an image in my head of these little baby mosquitoes doing the backstroke with a big stick coming out of their belly button. That's what the picture is in my mind. And these words will help me recall a lot of that information that I got from the story. So let's come up with a second supporting detail or another bullet to back up our main topic sentence. What could it be? And now my final point, my final bullet or my final supporting detail. And that was that rat-tailed maggots have a snorkel that is so long that it can hide in the mud with a snorkel sticking way up 6 centimeters high. Do you guys remember how many inches 6 centimeters was? 2.5 inches, that's right. And that's why these notes are so important. You're able to recall information from the story that you didn't have in your notes, but some of these key words and key phrases and supporting details will help you recall this information. And then here's another example of the same information but using a different strategy. This is a mind map. And what I love about mind maps is that they are chaotic. They are crazy, like your brain. Your brain doesn't work in a simple little structure. You have ideas going all over the place, and that's what this does. You have ideas everywhere. And you can extend on ideas. You can use different colors. You can use pictures. You can use symbols. But it's really important that you don't put in long sentences. It's a mind map. This is an outline. It's things to help jog your memory. Notice how I'm using simple phrases about things. I talk about the mosquito larvae and how they have a snorkel within their abdomen and they swim on their backs with a snorkel sticking out of the water. I start talking about the rat-tailed maggots, which I think is just a disgusting name, and how they can hide in the mud. And they have super long snorkels that are about 6 centimeters long. And I'm going to add that they hide in the mud because I didn't put that in there, and I think that's important. So I'm going to add in hide in mud. And I love using a mind map because for me, the note taking is simpler. For me, I prefer using shorter phrases instead of writing sentences. But it comes down to what is important for you. As you notice in my mind map, what do I have? I have the main idea. It was all about aquatic insects. And then I have information about the mosquito larvae, and then details about them. Information about the rat-tailed maggots, details about them. That's all a mind map is. So your assignment for today is to practice what I just taught you in this video. I want you to begin taking notes as you're reading. And I know that you have to do your scavenger hunt as well. It is possible for you to do both. You're going to choose one of the two ways that I showed you how to take notes. You can do that by either, number one, creating a summary of the part of the story that you're reading. Remember, you read in chunks. You stop and you pause. Create a summary of the main topic and the supporting details. Or number two, you can create a mind map that has the main topic and supporting details. So as you're reading, you need to stop on occasion. Take some notes. Write down that main topic sentence, those supporting details, because I will guarantee you, with everything in my body, down to where that heart should be with me, that if you do this, you take the notes, you take the time to think of the main topic and those supporting details, you are going to comprehend and remember more from nonfiction than you've ever imagined. When you are done today during the end of reading workshop, I want you to submit to me what you have done so I can review your work and give you feedback on how you can improve in your note taking. Good luck today, you guys.